lot of times what you do, you come in, you can see it. You want to go both hands. You come in, it's just, but you go here, you learn to make bing, bing. You get in position, bro, you got options now. I go here on you, go here on you, here on you, here on you, and then I'm back out with my jab. So me, everything was with this.
So how do you stay from your legs? I know sometimes it's bad to be too low, but where is your range at?
You gotta realize for me, I got shorter arms for my height. I'm like 6'1", but my arms are short for my height, so I gotta find ways to get, you know what I'm saying? I bring this in, so it's here, I bring that in for maximum power, but also so I'm in a good range.
Yeah.
I can't be out here because I got shorter arms. If I'm here, somebody like you gonna counter this.
Yeah.
You can be a really good fighter, both hands. Yeah. You could be all-time great if you make this great. Yeah. That's the hand, because that's gonna open up these other hands. Okay. It's gonna make it easier. Anything you do here, that blinds you. You're blinded. Bing. Yeah. Here, bing. I'm off to the side. You gotta turn your head. I get off or I can exit. And just rinse and repeat.
Okay.
That's it right there. That's it right there. Hey, he bit for it. Yeah, he bit. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Art of War. Today, my guest is one of the hottest young fighters in the game. He's talented, he's outspoken, he's also one of the most feared. He's a two-time world champion, now campaigning in his second weight class in the light heavyweight division, and he wants to become a two-division world champion and dominate another weight class, all before he turns 30 years old. He has a big fight coming up February 1st against the Cuban, David Morell, in Las Vegas. I want to welcome to the show, David the Monster Benavidez.
How you doing, bro?
Brother, I appreciate you opening up camp, man. I know it's not easy doing these kind of interviews, but man, let's get right into it. What's been working for you in this camp and what's been good about this camp?
So what's been working for me is this camp. You know, I think everything is just, come at the perfect moment. I've had momentum on my side. I've had big fights. And now coming into a second weight class, my body feels better. I feel in better shape. I feel like my body is growing. I'm more, and I'm getting into my prime now. And I just want it. That's the thing that's better than this camp than anything. I know what's on the other side of this fight is greatness. So I definitely want it. I'm hungry for this, and I let that lead me into this camp and this fight.
Now, I read somewhere where you said, no injuries in this camp. We're always dealing with something as fighters, but to have a camp where it's just about the work is a beautiful thing. So yeah, no injuries, you injury-free.
It's amazing, especially from my last camp. I was coming off probably the worst injuries I've ever had in any fight. I had torn tendon, fractured knuckle. I got a cut over my eye.
In camp?
No, my last camp.
That's what I mean.
In camp. 3 weeks before the fight, I had 10 stitches on my eye. So for this camp, like how you say, you don't got to worry about injuries. You don't got to worry about, is my hand going to get hurt, this and that. So this camp has just been amazing. It's been phenomenal. The energy with me and my father and my brother, the whole camp, it's been amazing. So, I'm really looking forward to have a great performance this fight.
What is it about David Morell? What makes him dangerous?
He's a great fighter. He's a technical fighter. He's the school Cuban fighter. He's tall, long arms. On paper, this fight looks like the most dangerous fight for me, besides anybody else in the weight division. But for me, man, yourself, there's just some fighters that want that challenge, that they want to challenge themselves. And this is why I chose this fight, because it looked like the hardest fight on paper, and I want to challenge myself.
We're going to go a little bit deeper into the relationship with y'all a little bit later, but before I move on, is the bad blood real? Like, you really don't like him?
Yeah,
you really don't like him?
He's definitely real. I don't like him. I don't like him all. And just with these fights, I think it just brings that out in you. I think the more you dislike somebody, the better it is for the fight and for the cells.
Yeah, that's what boxing is about.
Yeah.
I want to take a little bit of a journey back to Phoenix, Arizona, where you from. And it was interesting when I was, studying for this interview that you started boxing at 3?
Yeah, 3 years old.
How did you start so young?
I started because my brother was a foreign that actually first started boxing, Jose Benavidez, and then my dad, Jose Benavidez Sr., was training us in the garage. So when I was like 2 years old, I would go to the garage. But you're a little kid, your dad sends you off like, oh, I'm training Junior, I'm training your brother. And then me going into the garage every single day, it turned into like, let's come in here and we'll train. And that's really how my story got started. The only difference between me and everybody else is that, I've always been a bigger dude. I'd like to eat even since a little kid. So I was never in the amateurs because I didn't make the weight. But I was always sparring the best fighters. By the time I was 13 years old, I was sparring with nothing but pros in North Hollywood at the Wild Card. 14, I sparred my first world champion, Latif Coyote, Kid Chocolate, Kelly Pavlik. Then 15, I sparred Golovkin when he didn't even make his U.S. debut yet. So I've been seasoned, bro. That was my amateur pedigree right there, sparring all the best world champions that were in California.
Now, your father said that boxing came into your guys' life as an accident. What does that mean?
My boxing came into our life because I think my dad, he came from Los Angeles, and when we moved to Phoenix, Arizona, my dad was involved in a lot of gangs back in Los Angeles. So I think in his mind, he always thought that something was going to happen to him. So the way he explained it to me, he always wanted to train us so we could be tough, in case something happens to him, my brother could take care of us, or I could take care of my little sister and my mom and stuff like that. That was the exit plan, but then that became the passion, our passion for us. I remember back then, they used to make, I used to walk in the room when I was like 4 years old, my dad, and I used to see him with the cassette tapes of the title boxing,
for sure.
How to throw a jab, how to block, how to do this and that. So my dad, I give it all to my dad. Now that I get older, I'm matured a lot. Back then, I thought my dad just hated me. He just wanted me to train because he didn't like me, supposedly. You know how kids think. And now that I think about it, bro, I'm really grateful for my dad, because if you take my dad out the equation, none of this is possible. My dad, he devoted his life to making us the best that we could possibly be, and I'm just grateful for having that man in my corner.
Man, Pops, he said, I read somewhere where he said he didn't even know if he could do it. He was so inexperienced and had never cut his teeth on any fighter.
Yeah.
Where he was like, I don't even know if I can do it, and he ended up hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
And obviously it worked for you guys. If the boxing relationship never came into play, what do you think your life would have ended up being for you and your brother?
To be honest with you, bro, I feel like with me, I don't think my life would have been anything good. I probably would have been in Phoenix, Arizona, doing a lot of dumb stuff that people in Phoenix, Arizona do. There's types of people where you hang out with a certain type of crowd. Me, we never went to school. We never did none of that. We were hanging around with the hooligans and, the hoodlums and stuff like that. And even like coming into my career, coming up when I was younger, I still stayed in the bad path, and that really got me in all the problems I was in. But, like I said, boxing is my savior. Boxing is my savior. If it wasn't for boxing, I don't know what I'd be doing. I don't know what my brother would be doing. I don't know what my dad would be doing. So, I'm very grateful for boxing and for everything that it's given me and given my family.
When did you become aware of like Pops' background and the stuff he had been through? When did it start making sense to you?
When I got probably like the 13, 14 years old, you start catching on to stuff, you start seeing stuff, you know what I mean? You start seeing your environment. And, my dad, thankfully for us, he really dedicated his life. When he left California, he left everything behind. But I don't know, there's just some things about kids like us, you hang out with certain type of people, and sometimes that looks cool. You want to do stuff like that, but you just end up getting yourself into problems, Even when I was like, when I was younger and stuff, I got myself into a lot of problems, but wanting to become better for me and my family, I made the change for my life.
You ain't got to go into detail, but like you and Jose, y'all played in the streets a little bit. You guys dabbled, trying to figure it out.
Well, I didn't really, my brother did what he did, but I didn't really dabble in that stuff. Though the thing I'm referring to is, getting into drugs at an early age, At an early age, that kind of messed me up. But because you got to understand with boxing, when I was training with my dad, I trained all these months getting ready for a fight, and then you only got like a week off. So you supposedly you want to go hang out with your friends, do whatever you did. So that's kind of what messed me up, that getting into drugs, and then I got tested positive for cocaine, when I was 20 years old. But like I said, bro, a lot of that stuff, sometimes you need to hit rock bottom for you to actually cement your feet into the ground and find your faith and find who you really are and find what your real purpose is in life. And I don't take nothing, I'm not ashamed of anything I did. I'm just happy things went the way it did, and I found myself. And I became better for me, myself, and my family, and in my career. Man,
I see it, bro. I see the maturity, I see the growth, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that in a minute when we get to that point in your timeline. But when you're 12 years old, your parents had just split a couple years prior, and really your brother was the main one everybody was focusing on.
Yeah.
Right at that time, everybody was like Junior, Junior, Junior. They ended up going, Pops and your brother ended up going to LA. You stayed back with Mom. Why didn't you go when they left?
So my parents, they got divorced when I was 7. So I was back and forth a lot, but I had been training this whole time. And like I said, boxing was put on me not because it's something I love to do. Well, it turned into that, but because my dad always made me train. So my parents divorced, and they had my brother and my dad made the decision that they're going to California to train with Freddie Roach. So I'm like, you know what? I'm done with boxing. I'm gonna just stay with my mom, and I'm not boxing anymore. I'm tired of it. Because at the time I was like 10, 11, but I had like 8 years training. So I stayed in I stayed in Arizona, and in that year, bro, I went up 100 pounds. I was eating Taco Bell, eating McDonald's, everything. I was eating like 6 times a day. And I was 170, I went up to 250. 250. And then one day I looked at myself in the mirror. I was going to school. I was in 7th grade, and I didn't recognize myself. And I'm like, this could either go one or two ways. I could say, I don't care about anything. I don't care about what nobody says. I'm going to continue this way, and I'm going to hit a point of no return. I'm going to probably be 500 pounds. Or I can make the decision to go to California and try to lose the weight, and then just, put my all into boxing. And that was the decision we made, so by the time, it's funny because my brother, like you said, my brother, he was a big ticket in California, everybody was talking about him. So my brother and my dad will tell everybody at Wildcard, like, no, you think Junior is good? We got another one. He's gonna come. His name is David, and he's the one that has a lot of talent as well. I get there and I'm 250 pounds, and people are looking at me like this is the one that you said was good? Like, man, get out of here, bro. Right. So then it's an interesting point, because I've led that, moments like that always lead my career, because nobody's ever believed in me. Even since I got back, when I got to California, I had about 10 years boxing, and I had talent. But because the way I looked, people always ripped me off. So then my dad would start putting me to spar. I think I had sparred an Olympian in California the first time I sparred. And everybody's like, oh, no, we're going to take this fat little kid. He's not this and that. So that beat the brakes off the dude. Then I started getting my respect, and I went in there with the pros, and then everybody's starting to see, like, man, they weren't lying about this kid. This kid has a lot of talent. But it was always the same thing. No matter how good I did, people would always be like, oh, he's fat. Oh, he's nothing. We're going to beat it. And then I kept getting respect. That's why, like, with David Morell now, it's funny because he says the same thing every other fighter's told me. Like Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andre, he's flat-footed, he's squared, he has no talent, this and that. So I've always let that anger fuel my fights and fuel my career. And even to this day, it's still working for me. That's the frequency I found, and it's allowed me to go in there and, destroy all my opponents.
Man, it's amazing how every fighter's got that. Like, it's something. Your thing may be different than this guy's thing, but it's something that you held on to for years. And then when somebody starts talking like that, it triggers that thing again. And it's almost like that fire that's always kind of burning. Yeah. And it burns at different levels depending on what's going on. But then when somebody puts that gasoline on there, I'm right back where I was. Yeah. But going back to, when you was with your mom, your brother was really the catalyst, though. He came back, he visited and was like, bro, you coming with us to California. Yeah. And he got into it with your mom, and it was a whole big thing. And when you got there, tell me about, was that the Gennady Golovkin situation, or were you in Big Bear when y'all first sparred?
This was 2 years later is when I sparred Golovkin. I got there, first of all, the first thing that we did was shed off the weight. It took me like about a year and a half, but I got down to 190, 180 pounds, something like that.
How old?
14.
Okay.
Yeah, 14.
How tough? But you had a growth spurt too.
So that's the funny thing, that once I went out there and started losing weight, I got tall. And when I went to California, I was like 5'7", and then I ended up being 6'1", 6'2". Ooh, bro. So it was just a blessing in disguise. Honestly, I think that was the best decision I've ever made for my life. So when I went out there, I'm just focused. And then we go up there to Big Bear. And then we're getting sparring up there because my brother was about to have a big fight. And then my dad tells Abel Sanchez, like, do you have any buddy for David? So yeah, I just have this guy who came from Kazakhstan. And I remember, I'll never forget, Golovkin was on the other side of the ring. I was over here. He's like, yeah, that's Golovkin over there. Bro, he gave me the coldest look I've ever had anybody look at me. So me, I didn't know who he was. I'm like, damn, this guy is looking pretty serious. But then my dad was like, no, you're gonna go in there and spar him. I'm like, all right, I guess. That dude? But my dad's always known, bro. He's always, even though it's always been hard sparrings, he's always put me to push myself to the limit. And that's what's made me who I am today, because these sparring sessions were sparring sessions. They were real fights. So I sparred one time, and they were super impressed with us that I kept going back, that I was his main sparring partner until I was like 19 or 20. The last time I sparred him was when he fought Daniel Jacobs. And I remember we'd go up there and he'd be beating everybody up, and he'd make people wear the body
body
pads,
vest,
and
yeah.
I remember they gave me one. They're like, here, just a body pad. I'm like, but what is this for? So Golovkin doesn't hurt you to the body. I'm like, bro, if Golovkin hurts me to the body, then I shouldn't be in there. Like, he's not gonna hurt me. And I was the only person not using that. And it's just, Golovkin is a great dude. I learned a lot from him being up there in Big Bear. And it's just a lot of experience, bro, of working hard. You know, in boxing, nothing is given. You have to earn that greatness and you have to earn that hard work. And I'm just very happy with the work I've put in over these years.
Where did the Canelo phone call come in, like during that time? Like, 'cause they had called and said, man, y'all in camp, don't share our secrets.
So I was gonna go, I was sparring with Golovkin and I was gonna go spar with Canelo the next week after that.
He's in Big Bear too.
No, I don't know what Canelo, I think he was in San Diego.
Okay.
I was like 18 somewhere. So I was gonna go spar him. And then we got a phone call. They called my dad. Was like, you know what? We don't need you to spar. We know you're working with Golovkin. We don't want you to give away our secrets.
Oh, man.
I'm like, man, secrets. If anything, I'm keeping those for myself. I'm not gonna give those to nobody. But Canelo, man, it's been a topic for us for a long, long time. And you know, hopefully it doesn't look like it's gonna happen right now. But hopefully we could get that fight happen because in my opinion, that's gonna be one of the greatest fights in Mexican boxing history.
I believe so too, man. It would be a tremendous matchup, man, for many reasons. You had 15 amateur fights and you're only 16 years old when you turned pro. Why turn that early with that little experience?
Because for me, like I said, we had been working so much with the professional fighters, world champion. I felt like I was ready. You know, I felt like I was ready and I didn't want to waste any more time. And I just wanted to go straight to the pros. You know, for the first couple fights, 7 fights, you know, you build your record up. You know, you go to Mexico, you get the sense of the little gloves and all that. So, I mean, I felt like that was a better move for me. And also amateur fighters, if you go to all the amateur tournaments, they have a different style than the professional fighters. I'm not saying that they're not good or nothing like that. They're good, but an amateur style is for an amateur style. Once you start sparring professional or you start working with the professional fighters, you know there's a certain pace you got to move. You know, you can't throw everything the first 2 or 3 rounds. You got to be smart about everything.
What's up, fam? It's a beautiful time in sports right now. We've got hoops and playoff football in full swing. Get in on all the action right now with my partners DraftKings Sportsbook. If sports betting is not available in your state yet, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers, use promo code SMOKE and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code SMOKE only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
So the beginning you started in Mexico, but then, bro, it was a 4-year track.
Yeah.
And then here you are winning your first world title. You finally get that title at that young age. And 4 years ain't that long.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be an elite dude to win it for. I think I was like 6 or 7 before I had my first one. What was that moment like to get that strap for the first time after only 4 years?
Before we start that, you know, it was hard for me coming up. It wasn't hard because I was putting in the work, but once I got to like 12 fights, nobody wanted to sign me. You know, and I was like 11-0 with 10 knockouts and stuff. So I'm like, I'm kind of frustrated. I'm like, man, what's going on? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Nobody's signing me. And I went to the Virgin Islands and I sparred Julius Jackson. That's for when he was getting ready for Uzkateki. Julian, I love you, but I put it on him. I put it on him the first day I went, and
He stopped, didn't he?
His trainer called Samson Lukowicz and said, hey, I got a dude here that just put a beating on Julian. He's like, you need to take a look at this guy. You need to sign him. So then that's where everything happened. That's when my career changed. So I signed with Samson Lukowicz and I signed with PBC, or it was Showtime at the time, and started getting these bigger fights. And then that Pork and Medina fight is what really put everything on the map for me, you know. And Pork and Medina at that time, he had fought James DeGale, and he gave James DeGale a close fight. A lot of people thought that Porky Medina was on, that he won. So me going in there and beating Porky the way I did just gave me supreme confidence. Then this takes me to the world title fight, you know, and the world title fight for me, it brings up a lot of mixed emotions because when I was training 3 weeks before, my uncle died. You know, it was close. I was really close to my uncle. So he died, and I won the fight, but it was just, you know what I mean, it's just, I was still dealing with that, you know, still hurting inside. But honestly, it was it wasn't as good as winning the first title. You deal with that, then you win the title. So it's like mixed emotions. Obviously, I'm grateful for winning the title, but it wasn't good for me, to be honest with you. But at the time, I was still dealing with that. And this is what I'm going to bring up about the cocaine. I was happy, but I was not happy. You know what I mean? And especially because I kept thinking about it. Like if I didn't go to that camp, I would have been able to see my uncle. You know what I mean? So that kind of that messed me up for a while. And
He was back in Phoenix.
yeah, so that messed me up. So I mean, I was going through a lot of stuff, and I'm not gonna say I didn't mean to do this because it was my fault. I got caught with that stuff for my own reasons, but it was just going through a lot, and I kind of felt like I was kind of numbing that pain with that, But the me getting caught is the best thing that could happen to me. You know what I mean? So kind of put my life together for a while, and then just now, what really helps me stay grounded is my family, my kids, and yeah, man. But we still kept working, bro. And we still kept working. We came back. We fought Anthony Durrell, 22. I won another world title. I'm really happy for the things I did because at 20 years old, I was the youngest ever in history to win super middleweight title. And then I won it again in 22. I think the youngest one to ever win it was at 23. So I won it twice before that record. So I mean, I'm really happy, and I'm just really looking forward to keep winning titles and being the best version of myself.
Man, it's no blueprint. It's no blueprint. Like you talked about being younger, and all you did was train, right? Like a lot of times for young phenoms or young athletes, they don't get a chance to go out there and do some of the stuff other kids get to do. Like literally, it's like school, gym.
Yeah.
That's pretty much your life, and that stuff is every day for years. Yeah. And then you get this high moment. It's like you may not have been ready for the moment at that time. And people don't count. They just say, well, you're a world champion, you should know better. It's like, yeah, you technically should, but like, man, I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah. Only problem is my life is in front of the cameras now. Yeah. And I'm gonna keep it real with you though. I remember when that happened, I think it was either a year or two after that, we was in an HBO fighter meeting. I remember the family.
Wasn't it when Crawford fought my brother?
Yeah. And I remember thinking like, man, about you like, man, he's got the talent, bro. He can fight. Ain't no doubt about it, but I don't know if he can stay out the way and stay focused. Yeah. It was a question at that time. You think that was a fair question for you at that time?
Definitely, especially at that time. I was a mess at that time. But another thing that the people don't realize too, I didn't, like how you said, we're going gym, school for years and years and years. So finally, when I make it to the top, I'm world champion. Bro, at that world title fight, I got $500,000 and I'm 20 years old.
That was like 20 million at that time.
And yeah, bro, the first 100,000 you make when you're younger, you feel like it's $1 million. So I had made 250, then I made 500, and then I had to fight for $1 million after. I was scheduled. I didn't fight because I got caught by VADA.
Yeah.
Bro, that's a lot of money, bro. That's a lot of money for a kid that already has drug problems. You know what I mean? So that's why I try to look at people now. I try to give when I look at fighters, I try to give them the best advice. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to stay grounded. You got to find your faith. For me, what helped me on everything is my faith. I pray every day. And that keeps me grounded, and that allows me, to say no to the negative stuff. You know what I mean? Especially now, like I got older, I understand the consequences of drinking and doing drugs, and all that stuff it just puts your life down. It puts your life down. So for me to, stay clear mind and, and do the right stuff, I gotta, pray to God every single day. And then my family, I'm doing it for my family too. Everything I do is for my family. So, I've already seen the bad parts about the drugs and the alcohol, and now I'm staying clear of that stuff. And, I just want to be the best version of myself. I don't want to be one of them guys that they get to 40 years old and be like, man, I f***ed up my career because I couldn't get a hold of my demons. Mm-hmm. So now, now I give all the praise to God, and, I feel really happy. I feel really comfortable with myself because I know I'm going to make the right decisions. You know what I mean? And, yeah, man, keeping my faith and keeping my feet grounded to the floor has really helped me in my life overall.
Well, you answered my other question because I was going to say, after that positive test, I watched you over the next couple of years. I'm always watching guys, man. Even if I don't really speak much about them, I'm always got my eyes to the game, especially guys that are on the rise. And I just seen you mature little by little by little. I seen you kind of talking a little bit different. Seen you moving a little bit different. And I don't know you like that, but you seem to be comfortable in the limelight a little bit more. You seem to be comfortable being a champion and having the attention. Like, you just seem settled.
Yeah.
And then I always see you with your family.
Yeah.
So it's like, those are always good signs when you see a guy with his wife and with his kids, not just for a photo op, but like, this is my real crew. Like, I really be with them.
Yeah.
And that's what it seemed like for you. So, man, it's dope, brother. And I still see you evolving as a fighter and as a man.
Yeah, and then also now, like, I talk about this stuff all the time, all the stuff I've been through. I'm not really ashamed of myself. I just feel like all the stuff that I've been through, I could tell somebody else, and then that way they don't have to go through the same thing I went through.
That's right.
Because a lot of people go through this stuff, and just a lot of people don't talk up about it. You know what I mean? And I've already been crucified, so I might as well just keep talking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to help the whole world. If I could help one person not make the wrong mistakes, then that's good for me.
And hopefully they watching.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes your life is speaking without saying nothing.
Yeah.
And if dudes are really paying attention to you as a whole, not just the boxing, but your life, man, they gonna pick up a lot, bro, because you're doing a great job, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of you, man. I see you coming into your own. Take me back, talk a little bit more about the weight issues as a kid, and you talked a little bit about it, but how you really overcame that, and then, like, what's your message to kids that are struggling with obesity and being overweight?
So my message to the kids about obesity and being overweight, first of all the stuff that they put out, whether it's at the gas station, chips, juice, fast food, if it's not being cooked at home, it's all bad. It's all bad. Also, you need to drink a lot of water. You need to stay, I feel like with the kids, it starts in the mentality. You gotta work out, you gotta go run, you gotta make yourself feel good, you gotta look good so you can become the best version of yourself. And it's not gonna happen overnight, especially losing weight. That's probably one of the hardest things to go through, but if you really want it, you could do anything that you want. You could manifest anything you want. So first, when you take care of the weight, you start looking good, you start feeling good, you start performing good. You start really being who you want to be. You know what I mean? And that's what it's been like for me now too. I really could be the best version of myself, and I really I'm able to motivate other people, and I'm really happy with that.
Now, the world knows you can fight. But what type of businessman is David Benavidez? How do you handle your business offline with it's time to negotiate a fight, or, okay, you got your check? Like, what type of stuff are you into investment-wise? Like, what type of businessman is David Benavidez?
So right now, the one thing that I'm into more is the real estate. I got a couple homes, and then now I finally got into what I really wanted to get into is food. I got my food truck business. It's called the Easy Bocce. It's gonna be in Miami. Come on. So that's something I wanted to get into, and just honestly right now, just real estate and that. And then I don't really like putting too much things on my plate, because at the end of the day, boxing means the most to me. And if something's taking my energy away from boxing, then I take it out completely.
Back to Canelo, when did you first set your sights on him as an opponent, not just, oh, that's a good fighter?
I set my sights on him once, I think it was after that second Golovkin fight, because he was fighting at 160, and obviously I'm at 168. So I knew it was inevitable him coming up, but I always knew that I was a problem for him, because I was never at the forefront of, when he mentions the fights. It was never David Benavidez first. It was Caleb Plant or Callum Smith, Billy Joe Sanders. So he just really he never really mentioned me. I don't know if that's like a pride thing, because I'm Mexican as well and he's Mexican, or if he just really thinks I'm that much of a threat. But, I knew one day people were gonna ask for that fight, and I feel like now it's amazing how much attention this fight is getting. And I think I'm even winning more right now the more he's putting it off. Because people are seeing, like, what if he was not, they offered him $70 million to fight me. That's before pay-per-view.
That's a real number.
Yes. You guys could call Luis de Cubas, Al Heyman, and ask him that. Before fighting me. So imagine after pay-per-view. And then with me, so what Canelo does, he pays the guy his flat fee. They had offered me $5 million. And I said, cool.
They offered you $5 million.
Somebody called, Samson Lukowicz called us and said, before the Jaime Munguia fight, said, hey, would you guys be willing to fight only a flat fee of $5 million? You're not getting no pay-per-view, none of that. And I said, yes. I heard it from Samson Lukowicz. That's who I heard it from. I didn't hear it from Canelo, none of his team, but we had agreed. We said yes. then we never heard back. But I think what they were trying to do there is they're just trying to, you know, they were calling the bait out. They wanted to see if I was going to say yes or no. I think they thought that I was going to say, no, I'm not going to fight for $5 million. You know what I mean? This fight's worth way more. So, I mean, I called the bluff. I said yes, and that was the last time we ever heard about that fight. But like I said, this fight is inevitable. You know, everybody's asking for it. This is the biggest fight that could possibly be made, and I'm not scared of Canelo. I feel like I could beat him. You know what I mean? That's basically what I'm doing with David Morell. David Morell has been talking a lot, saying that I can't beat him, and what am I doing? I'm going and facing him, and that's what a true champion should do. If I'm sitting here telling Canelo I can knock him out and I can beat him, why didn't he just come shut me up and make a lot of money? That's what he's doing now. He's fighting easier opponents and winning $30 million. And I'm not nobody to talk about money like it's not a lot of money, but if he fights me, he's making triple that. So it just make sense.
I don't like getting into, you know, is a fighter scared? Because, you know, to me, it's more like I guess the question is, do you think it's fear on his part, or is it more just that's a bad style fight?
I don't like I said, I don't think any fighter's scary either. But I feel like he knows that it's the toughest fight, and that in his head he potentially knows that he could lose. That's what I know. I know that for a fact. That's why I know he's not taking this fight. I don't think that he's scared of me. I think he will fight me, but I know he knows that if he loses this fight, then what else? You know, he's probably gonna retire. So that's a big if for him, and that's where I stand on that.
So you still believe it's gonna happen one day?
I think so my plan is right now, beating David Morell, going up, winning the undisputed titles, and in that way I can entice a fight with Canelo. Maybe we could do a catch weight 172. I don't know if they'll allow it, but
You willing to do that?
I'm willing to do that for both the titles. 168, 175. I don't know when's the last time that was ever done.
Yeah, it's a long time. I think Sugar Ray Leonard did something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it'd be the most money. It'd be the highest paid fight of all boxing, in my opinion. And then and it's possible that it could happen because you see Tyson Fury, he got 150 million or something like that. Usyk got like 150
something
million.
Crazy.
So I mean, I think what Canelo is doing, he's putting the price out there too. He's letting people know how much the cost is. And now you see he did it. He met with Turki Al-Sheikh. So I feel like we're in good position right now. But like I said, I always keep my thoughts of my opponent in front of me. And we're not thinking about Canelo right now. We're thinking of David Morell, and then after that, we're gonna win the undisputed title.
Out of Plant, Andre, Vosdick, who was your toughest opponent today?
To be honest with you, I feel like the slickest fighter I fought was Plant because he moved around a lot. He knew how to use the ring. He was hugging a lot. Kenny Bayless has messed up that fight too. He didn't give him no warnings. But the toughest fight that I went through was probably my last fight because of so much injuries. You know, I had a month and a half, torn the tendon, a month before the fight, fractured this because, you know, when you hurt one hand and you still got to spar, you're preparing for a good opponent. You can't just stop sparring. You know, you got to work the other hand because this might happen in the fight. So I'm working the hand. I throw a hook or an uppercut to the guy's head in the middle of the head right here, and that messed it up. So then, you know, I try to let it heal for like a couple more weeks, 2 weeks, and then I sparred. And then the sparring session was going good. Hands weren't hurting, you know, I was touching. The last round, I go back to the corner. I freaking get hit right there. I get split 10 stitches. And then, so when I was, you know, my mindset at that time, you know, I had to block everything out. You know, I didn't care about that because this was a really big card. Me and Tank were fighting, and I know a lot of people were looking forward to that. So I didn't give up on that. But when I was doing mitts in the back room, I felt my hands swelling up. This started hurting, so I'm like, man, it's gonna be a long night. It's gonna be a long night.
Yeah, buddy. Man.
But we get in there, bro, and it was a good fight. You know, I'm happy with the performance I put in there because he's a world-class fighter. You know, the only losses to Artur Beterbiev, but that was definitely, I had to dig deep for that one. But that's the type of experience you have to go through to let you know who you are. And that let me know I would never give up on anything.
I love it. I love it. You know, people, you know, the fans and stuff, they look at like a hardship in a fight, like a knockdown or, you know, bad performance. Or maybe you didn't look your best, like you said, but it's overcoming. That's what gives you them notches on the belt. When you start taking that competition up higher and you start, reigning over a division, it's not if you step on a landmine, it's when you gonna step on a landmine.
And how you react.
But you gotta know, I done been through this, I done been through that, I overcame that. So the fans, they miss it a lot of times. They think a flawless performance, oh, he's unbeatable. It's like, yeah, he may have some weakness that you don't know about until he's tested in a certain type of way. But when you got to deal with injuries and everything in you is like, man, pull out the fight. And you push through, and maybe the performance wasn't amazing, but I got through that thing, man, that's another strike.
Yeah.
That's another strike.
It feels amazing. And honestly, it feels amazing because, like you said, I was this close to putting out the fight.
Yeah.
But the reason for me not putting out the fight and going through the fight, and it feels like one of the biggest victories in my career.
I know, but tell the people, if they don't know, where you got the name, the Monster, from.
My promoter, Samson Lukowitz, when I first started, he used to call me El Bandera Roja. I liked it, but I feel like, it's kind of time for something different.
Yeah.
We went to go do the podcast with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was freaking the best person ever, and he's like, man, you know what? You like a Mexican monster. I'm like, that's it right there. The people liked it. So, we stuck with it. The Mexican monster and the monster. El monstruo. In Spanish, it's el monstruo. In English, the Mexican monster.
Man, you creeping up on 30, bro. And it's when you start really, like, the game starts getting fun. Is the game slowing down for you now where it's just, you just get, like, let me ask you this. Let me ask it this way. What type of fighter are you right now in your career?
Right now, I feel like I'm coming in my prime, and now really the best out of me is coming out. And I've put the groundwork in, bro. I put the legwork in. I've been professional 11 years. I've made a name for myself, so now it's just time to solidify my name. That's why every time I go in the fight, I'm really trying to hurt these people. I'm not just trying to win the fight. I'm trying to win all the fights after that to let these people know that I am the best and I'm nothing to play with. And that's the way I am right now. I love going in there and I love beating a dude up. I really love beating him up.
You look like you enjoyed it.
Because by the time, like I said, I've been fighting like that my whole life. By the time the fight is over, when they, you beat the heck out of them, and they say, yeah, you were the best. That feels the best. That feels really good. Like, I told you.
Conceding, yeah.
Like, I told you.
You like that in real life, bro, or you just flip a switch?
Nah, I just flip a switch. Honestly, bro, people know me. I'm the nicest guy in the world. I don't really like violence. I don't like none of that. I don't like getting into altercations, none of that. But when it's time to go, it's time to go. Not to say I'm going to let somebody punk me. Like, obviously, I'm not going to let nobody do that. But I feel like every man has to be like that. You have to be cool. If somebody comes and tries you got to flip that switch. Fortunately for me, people don't try me in the street or nothing like that. Obviously, I can't do nothing. But once it gets to the fights, I'm not going to let no other fighter punk me. I'm not going to let nobody look at me. I'm not going to let this dude look at me say he's going to knock me out. So I'm not going to let that happen.
That's mandatory. You in the light heavyweight division now. What were your thoughts on Arthur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol?
I thought it was a great fight. To be honest with you, I thought Bivol won. I thought Bivol outlanded him. I thought the ring generalship was there. Arthur may have hurt him a little bit more, but I think, in my opinion, it was a razor-thin close fight. But I think Bivol did exactly what was necessary to win the fight.
I thought he did too. He definitely had some moments where the body language wasn't good, and if the judges are swaying, they can look and Beterbiev looked like he was in command. But I thought Bivol did enough.
I honestly thought when Beterbiev was hitting him, I thought he was just being smart and not throwing anything back. Because sometimes it looked like he was getting hurt when he was kind of coming back. I thought he was just letting Beterbiev outthrow himself and then him coming back with his offense. But it was a close fight. That's why they're the best fighters at 175, but that's why they're both champions.
How do you think the rematch is gonna go? Similar?
I think Bivol's gonna win again. Not to say that both the guys can't make any adjustments. I mean, that's why they're great fighters. I think they can make adjustments, but if the fight goes the same way, I think Bivol wins again.
You talked a little bit already about David Morell and why you want to fight him, but that's an easy dude to sidestep. Don't have a big name yet. Extremely skillful, can hit, got pedigree. That's one of them dudes that most people say, yeah, give me another name. Why didn't you do that?
Because I'm not like everybody else. Like I said, I'm here to have my name known for generations. With me, I want to fight the best fighters because I already know what happens when I get in the ring with a great fighter. The best out of me comes out. You know what I mean? And this is what I want. This is what we're here for. We want to give the tough fights. I don't want no easy fights. I want to go in there and leave it all out in the ring and people say, wow, David is an amazing fighter. He doesn't shy away from nobody. He really lets it all out for everybody to see. And I've always been like that. I feel like now this is what I want to solidify in my career, that, like the old school fighters. It's like how you were. You know, you fought the best. You never dodged nobody. And you went in there, you beat the heck out of everybody. So that's exactly what I want to do. I want to follow in the footsteps of great fighters and Hall of Fame fighters like yourself.
So you feel like for sure when the competition is better, I know I'm a rise.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
You guys do the kickoff press conference. It's a lot of back and forth, which is to be expected. It's a fight, you know, and y'all are announcing a fight. But then you had an open workout in Miami, I believe it was. And you put hands on him, and Morrell came back and threw the belt, bro. Your defense was on point that day, my boy, because that thing just missed you. I said, if he hit him with that belt,
It would have been over.
it might have been over. We may not be having a fight. Tell me about that open workout and just that whole scene.
So David Morell, he just tries to act super tough for the camera.
You don't think that's real? You don't think that's
No,
who
I
he
thought
is?
it was real. I thought it was real, but that's what I'm saying, what led up to that. So when we were at the press conference, the first one, we're talking all this and that, and I'm talking tough to David Morell, and then he comes up after the press conference is done, and then he shakes my hand, give me a hug.
After all of that?
No,
press conference
the
first
first
time.
one, the
Got
LA,
you.
LA.
Got you.
So then when we go to the press conference over there, you know, it was my birthday actually, so I'm already in a good mood. I'm walking in, and as you can see, I went to go shake his hand.
He wasn't done.
But all my people were there. There's a gym I train at.
Yeah.
And then he didn't shake my hand, and I held it out there like, bro, shake my hand, shake my hand. And he didn't shake my hand. That got me heated. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna fight anyway. I might as well push him and see what's up. I'm gonna test his temperature. Pushed him, but this is how I know he's scared of me, because he threw the belt at me. If I throw my belt at you, I'm trying to hit you in the head. And that, when I hit you, the fight is gonna be canceled. So me seeing him throw his belt at me, you know, he's already looking for a way out. You know what I mean? I would never throw my belt at you or anybody, because there's kids, there's people here. If I hit somebody in the head, it's gonna bust.
You felt like he should have came back with contact.
He should have did something. Yeah, he should push me or
Physical.
something like
Keep it
that.
physical.
Yeah. But you know, at the end of the day, it's good making for TV, because you got to sell the fight as well. You know what I mean? Now that I'm getting in the pay-per-views and all this stuff, you know, you kind of have to do a lot of those shenanigans to sell the fight. You know what I mean? And people are more interested. You know, we had a good press conference, had a good back and forth. And the good thing about this is I know this is going to sell a lot, because none of this is fake. The fights that are not fake are the ones that sell a lot. Like Crawford and my brother. You don't remember when my brother pushed Crawford and Crawford freaking swung at him.
I seen it.
Yeah, so it's stuff like that. It just keeps people on their edge, and that's all the makings of a great fight.
Bro, what's going on with the VADA testing, bro? I see you speaking out about Morrell not signing up. VADA's not hard to sign up for.
So
what's going on with that?
So me, I've been tested more by VADA than anybody. You know what I mean? And I really want to talk about this, but now we're talking about this. When I fought Caleb Plant, so when I signed for this fight, I already knew months in advance. I knew like 4 or 5 months ago. When I fought Caleb Plant, we started testing like 14 weeks out. Demetrius started testing 12 weeks out. Bosick started testing 11 weeks out.
Before the fight?
Before the fight. So, so it was like 11 weeks to the fight. So like 3 months, 4 months. I had, with David Morell, the only reason I bring stuff up is because people say stuff. Other fighters that said that they that they had to test VADA and that David Morell didn't test VADA, and then after the fights they weren't testing for drug tests. So I'm kind of looking at that like, okay, like I keep telling these guys about the drug test. They keep saying next week, next week, next week.
Who's saying that?
Their team.
Okay.
David Morell, I've sent all my stuff. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Let's test. I'm like, oh, we're just waiting. We're this, you know what I mean? And then by the time it got to week 9, and I'm not lying about anything. I have screenshots of everything. If they're not going to test, I'm going to cancel the fight. I don't give a about none of this. Like, the VAD is here for a reason. Why are they not testing?
Straight up.
So then I tell them, if they're not here by tomorrow, we're going to cancel the fight. They got there the next day. But that's what I'm saying. It shouldn't even been like that. Why am I calling VADA? Why am I telling them, like, when are we going to start testing? This is a big fight. You know what I mean? I'm sure you would feel the same way. Like, oh, we got 2 months and a half. Like, why haven't we tested yet?
Mandatory.
So, I mean, and then from also, I mean, you can look it up yourself. There's people talking about David Morell, that he didn't test this and that, his fighters that he's previously fought. So I'm looking at this stuff. I'm like, bro, these guys are not going to get over on me. Like, if you want to beat me, come do it the right way. Don't be cheating and, you know. So that was my thing about that. They've been doing their job now phenomenally.
So they have been testing?
No, and they've been testing now.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I said that, I didn't say nothing. I didn't want to say nothing about this. But when we're doing that press conference, David Morell said that I have that everybody that my team is drug addicts, that we take steroids and that all that stuff. So that's why I just let it go. I'm like, bro, if you're not gonna tell me that we're taking steroids when we've been on top of you guys trying to get the VADA testing. So that's the whole thing about that. But now the VADA's been doing the job. We've been testing good and everything's been good.
When did he start, you think?
We started
Did you get notified when the opponent tests?
Yeah, so it started 9 weeks when it was week 9 until the fight. So from 9 weeks to the fight. So it would have been like 2 months and a half once we started testing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you envision this fight playing out February 1st?
This is going to be the best fight of my career so far, the best performance, because you know when you get them camps where sometimes stuff ain't good, but then you get the camps where physically, emotionally, mentally, you're getting your rounds in, you're getting the runs in, you've been training for like 3.5 months and everything is just flowing good. And even when you vision stuff in your head, it's looking amazing. So for me, this fight, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna put on a great performance, and I'm going in there to try to knock David Morell out. Which if I get it or not, I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna beat David Morell, but I'm gonna be in there trying to hurt him every single round.
You think he's gonna bang with you, or you think he's gonna try to move and be?
He's definitely gonna try to. I think he's gonna move around first. He's gonna box, and then I might entice him to a firefight, But if it's for me to hunt him down, me to cut the distance, me to counter while he's trying to counter me, I'm 100% ready for everything.
You take care of your business February 1st. You got Beterbiev, Bivol rematch. Your sights are set on the winner, right? That's why you at in the light heavyweight division, right?
Yeah.
Who would you rather fight?
I sparred Bivol. I sparred him a lot of times, so I know him. I know him personally. I know him more as a style. But I feel like both those men, I had to be at 110% because both of them, they're the top, they're the elite, they're the upper echelon fighters. So I don't know. I'd beat both of them, but
you definitely want either one of those.
I want either one of them, yeah. But now it'd definitely be a great fight. But if we're not able to get that fight, I would love to go up to cruiserweight and fight Sudo Ramirez.
Really?
Yeah, I sparred him a lot too, and spar him a lot. I feel like we owe it to each other because every time we spar, it'd be a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view sparring. So
Cruiser, huh?
Cruiserweight, yeah.
You would skip light heavy and just go up?
I would try to go up and try to fight and then come back down, if I'm allowed.
Man, I want to see that too, bro. But I think the light heavyweight thing, I think that undisputed.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. That's what I'm saying. I just feel like if there's an opportunity for me to go up to cruiserweight, I would definitely take it. If there's no other fight, if I'm not able to get that fight, because there might be a rubber match. If the second fight is like the first fight, it might be a third. And
Bivol wins, they going at it again.
Yeah, and who am I to be like, oh no, he has to fight me first? I mean, these good guys put together a tremendous fight. Like, you got to give them the respect that they deserve.
Absolutely. I got 2 more for you, and I'm gonna let you go. It looks like we might be getting Crawford, Canelo. If that fight happens, how do you see that fight playing out?
To be honest with you, I feel like Crawford is a great fighter, and I know he's going to come in extremely prepared. I just feel like Canelo, he's more comfortable at that weight, at 168. Because we seen Crawford, he looked great in this fight, but, he struggled a little bit at 154. So that's going up 2 weight classes, you know what I mean? But Crawford is Crawford. He's a king, and he's an all-time great for a reason. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wins. I wouldn't be surprised if he loses.
Yeah, it's one of them kind of fights. You got 2 great fighters. You got the weight differential, but it's intriguing for sure.
Yeah.
It's intriguing for sure. If I can't get Canelo, Benavidez, those are 2 fights I've been calling for. Yeah. Canelo Benavidez or Canelo Crawford. Give me one of those 2.
Yeah, it's a great fight.
And obviously I know which one you want, Last one, bro, are you one of them guys that feel like, man, I'm trying to fight until I can't fight no more? Or do you have a plan in your mind and sort of an exit strategy or age that's like, man, I'm gonna start winding it down. I wanna go out like this?
So from what I see, like all-time greats, honestly, the only one that's really actually stepped away and just kept it like that is you. But I mean, I don't want to be boxing for, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I don't want to say I don't want to be boxing forever, but I do want to box forever, you know what I mean? So right now what I'm thinking of is maybe 35. I got another 10 years in me, probably 36. Just getting all my stuff in order, like my businesses and my houses that I get. So by the time I get to that age, I don't have to do anything, because at the end of the day, it sucks to say, but a lot of boxers, they really don't know how to manage their money. And most of the time, that's why we come back into the sport, because we messed up all the money that we had coming up. And when it gets to that time, you know, we still have to make money. So I want to leave the boxing on my terms, and I don't want to come back. I don't want to just come back for money. So maybe like another 10 years.
10 years, bro. That's a lot of hardware. That's a lot of belts.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of money, brother. Man,
Yeah.
brother, thank you for your time, bro.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate you, man. We excited about February 1st, and we're going to be in the building, bro.
Thank you.
Man, that's a wrap. That's another episode of The Art of War from Camp Benavidez.